Those twins look exactly like me. Marcus Chen stood frozen in the doorway of the playground, his briefcase slipping from his fingers. Two 5-year-old boys chased each other across the grass, their laughter piercing the autumn air. Dark hair, sharp jawlines even at their young age. And those eyes, the same distinctive, amber-flecked brown that stared back at him from the mirror every morning. "Mr. Chen, are you all right?" His assistant, Jennifer, touched his elbow with concern, but Marcus couldn't speak. His mind was racing backward, counting months and years. 5 years and 9 months ago. The charity gala in Boston. The woman with the gentle smile and fierce intelligence, who debated philosophy with him until dawn. Emma Rodriguez, the non-profit director he'd spent one unforgettable weekend with before flying to Singapore to salvage his father's failing tech empire. He'd tried to find her afterward, but she'd vanished, changed jobs, moved, left no trace. And now, watching these two perfect miniature versions of himself, Marcus understood why. Mommy, look how high I can swing!" Marcus's heart stopped as a woman emerged from the community center. Older, more tired around the eyes, but unmistakably her. Emma carried a box of art supplies, her hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, wearing jeans and a paint-stained sweater that suggested she'd come far from the elegant dress she'd worn that night. Their eyes met across the playground. The box fell from her hands, markers scattering across the concrete. "Boys, time to—" Her voice cracked. "Time to come inside." Marcus found his legs moving before his brain caught up. "Emma, please don't run." She looked at the boys, then back at him, her expression a mixture of fear and something else. Relief? Resignation? "Marcus, This isn't— Those are my sons." It wasn't a question. Emma's shoulders sagged. "I tried to find you. After I found out I was pregnant, I tried everything. But you disappeared to Singapore, and your father's company was in crisis. And all I could find were lawyers who told me you were unreachable. So you raised them alone?" Marcus felt shame burning through him. "For 5 years. What choice did I have?" Her voice wavered. "I'm not some woman looking for a billionaire's handout, Marcus. I'm a single mom working 3 jobs to keep these boys fed and safe and—" She stopped, blinking back tears. "Why are you even here?" "The Chen Foundation is partnering with this community center. I came to see the facility we're funding." He laughed, a broken sound. "Of all the centers in Boston." One of the boys, the slightly taller one, tugged on Emma's sleeve. "Mommy, why are you crying?" "Is that man making you sad?" The protective fury in that small voice cracked something open in Marcus's chest. Over the next hour, Marcus learned their names, Daniel and Nathan. He learned that Daniel loved dinosaurs and wanted to be a paleontologist, that Nathan was shy but could draw anything he saw with photographic accuracy, that they shared a room in a tiny apartment in Dorchester because Emma's non-profit salary barely covered rent and childcare, that she'd built a life of struggle and sacrifice while he'd been building an empire. "I make enough," Emma insisted as they sat in her cramped office while the boys attended their art class. "We're happy. We don't need—" "What about what I need?" The words burst out of Marcus. "What about the 5 years I've lost? The first steps, first words, birthdays, every moment?" His voice broke. "Emma, I have a right to know my children." "You have a right?" Her eyes flashed. "You have money, Marcus. That's what you have. And I won't let you waltz in here and disrupt their lives just because you feel guilty. That's not fair." "Fair?" Emma stood, trembling. "I was alone at every ultrasound. I held their tiny bodies the night they were born with no one to share it with. I've sat up through fevers and nightmares and first days of school completely alone. Don't talk to me about fair." Marcus stood too, but slower. "You're right. Nothing about this is fair. But Emma, I'm asking, no, I'm begging. Let me try. Let me be their father. They don't need a father who'll sweep in and then disappear when the novelty wears off. Then let me prove I won't." The arrangement they made was simple. Marcus would visit twice a week. No lawyers, no formal custody agreements yet. Just time to get to know his sons, while Emma watched like a hawk to ensure he was genuine. The first real visit, Marcus brought dinosaur encyclopedias and professional art supplies. The boy's eyes went wide, but Emma pulled him aside. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," she hissed. "You can't just buy their affection. I'm not trying to... Those books cost more than I spend on groceries in a month. That art set is worth more than their bedroom furniture combined. How am I supposed to compete with that?" Marcus looked at the boys, already absorbed in the dinosaur book, and understanding dawned. "You're not competing with me, Emma, and I'm not competing with you. They already love you more than anything in the world. I can see it in how they look at you. Then what are you doing?" "I'm trying to figure out how to be enough for them. How to catch up on 5 years. How to..." He swallowed hard. "How to not fail them the way I've already failed them just by not being here." Something in Emma's expression softened. "You didn't know. But I should have tried harder to find you. I should have..." His phone buzzed insistently. Singapore headquarters. Marcus silenced it. Over the following weeks the phone buzzed constantly. Investors demanding meetings. Board members requiring decisions. The empire he'd built demanding his attention. And for the first time in his life, Marcus let it wait. He showed up every Tuesday and Thursday evening. Not with expensive gifts, but with his time. He learned to help with homework, sitting at Emma's kitchen table while Daniel struggled through subtraction. He attended Nathan's art show at the community center, standing in the back with tears in his eyes as his son's drawing won first place. He brought Chinese food on late nights when Emma worked her second job at the hospital, doing medical billing until midnight. He did dishes. He read bedtime stories. And slowly, impossibly, the boys started to warm to him. "Are you our dad?" Daniel asked one evening, looking up from his dinosaur drawings with those two perceptive eyes. Emma froze in the doorway and Marcus felt his heart hammering. "Yes," he said quietly, "I am, and I'm sorry I wasn't here before. But I'm here now and I'm not going anywhere." "Okay," Daniel said simply and returned to his drawing. But Nathan, the quiet one, climbed into Marcus's lap and whispered, "I always wanted a dad." Marcus held his son and wept. 2 months into this new reality, Marcus's world collided catastrophically. His board of directors issued an ultimatum: return to Singapore immediately or face a hostile takeover. Investors were nervous. The company his father had built, that Marcus had saved and transformed, was at risk. "You have to go," Emma said when he told her. They were alone in her living room after the boys had gone to bed. "This is exactly what I was afraid of. You have a whole life that doesn't include us. My life is here now. Marcus, be realistic. You're a billionaire CEO. You can't just abandon your responsibilities. The way I abandoned my responsibilities to my sons?" Emma flinched. "That's not what I meant." Marcus ran his hands through his hair. "I've been thinking about this for weeks. The company, it's just a company. It's money and products and market share. But those boys upstairs, that's legacy. That's what actually matters." "You can't mean that." "I've never meant anything more in my life." He turned to her, and Emma was struck by the change in him. The softness that hadn't been there 6 years ago. The certainty. "I'm liquidating my controlling shares, setting up trusts, stepping down." "Marcus, that's insane." "Is it? I've spent 15 years building an empire, and I have nothing to show for it except money. I'll never spend and a reputation in circles I don't care about. But I have 2 sons who need a father, and..." He hesitated. "And I have you." "Me?" Emma's voice was barely a whisper. "I never forgot you, Emma, that weekend 6. Years ago, I've compared every person I've met to you since then. I know I don't deserve another chance. I know I have to earn every moment, but I'm asking if you'll let me try, not for the boys, for us." Emma looked at this man who'd been a fantasy, then an absence, and was now becoming something real and terrifyingly important. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I've been alone for so long. I've had to be strong for so long. I don't know how to let someone in. Then we'll figure it out together. The same way we're figuring out everything else. What if you resent us? What if you wake up one day and realize what you gave up?" Marcus took her hands. "Emma, I gave up nothing. I'm gaining everything." 6 months later, Marcus stood in the same playground where his life had changed, watching Daniel and Nathan play soccer with a group of kids from the community center. The center that now bore the Chen Rodriguez Foundation name. Emma slipped her hand into his. "No regrets?" she asked. "Not a single one." He squeezed her hand. "Though I do have one question." "What's that?" "When are you going to marry me?" Emma laughed, the sound bright and free in a way it hadn't been in years. "Is that a proposal, Mr. Chen?" "It's a fact." "Ms. Rodriguez, I'm just giving you time to catch up to the inevitable." "Mommy, Dad?" "Watch this," Daniel shouted, and they both turned to watch their son perform an elaborate soccer trick that ended with him falling dramatically on his face. As they rushed over to make sure he was okay, he was fine. Already laughing, Marcus realized that this chaotic, imperfect, beautiful mess was worth more than every dollar in his former empire. He'd spent years building towers of steel and glass. But here in this small playground in Boston, he'd finally built something that mattered. A family. 1 year later. The wedding was small, held at the community center with their boys as ring bearers and half of Dorchester in attendance. Marcus's former business associates were notably absent, but he didn't miss them. As he and Emma danced their first dance as husband and wife, Daniel and Nathan watching with matching grins that were pure Marcus, he leaned close and whispered, "Thank you." "For what?" Emma asked. "For being strong enough to raise them alone, for being brave enough to let me in, for giving me a second chance at the only thing that really matters." Emma's eyes shimmered with tears. "You know what the best part is? They'll never remember a time when you weren't there. To them, you've always been their dad." And as Marcus held his wife, watching their sons dance together in matching tiny suits, he understood that sometimes the greatest fortune isn't the one you build. It's the one that finds you when you finally open your eyes to what really matters. Those twins didn't just look exactly like him. They'd given him a reflection of who he could become. Not a billionaire, not a CEO, but something infinitely more valuable. A father, a husband, a man who'd found his way home.